It's time to recognize one of the best in Ohio's sheep industry. On behalf of the Ohio Sheep Improvement Association and the Ohio Sheep and Wool Program, it's the 2011 Charles Boyles Master Shepherd Award. This award puts a spotlight not only on an Ohio sheep producer, but their hard work, dedication, and leadership in the Ohio sheep industry. Those words no better characterize someone as they do Don Hawk of Skyline Turkey Farm in Knox County.
He's just done so many dynamic things with his operation in terms of taking that from the turkey operation to the feeder lamb operation. He's been very progressive in what he's done, not only with his operation, but his nutrition program, his health program, his marketing. Don finds himself successful because he knows what those lambs are going to bring when he first brings them into the barns.
But we've grown turkeys here consistently. We still do have some turkeys, but in 1998, we were faced with the challenge of the industry moved away from me. I've always been an independent producer, and so we had to look for something else to do with these facilities, and the lambs is what we settled on.
Making the transition was hard when we saw the last turkeys go out the road, and we thought we would never raise turkeys again. And then we started with the lambs. Our son always liked the lambs. He always said when he was in school that if we weren't raising turkeys, he would want to fill the barns up with lambs, which is where we are now. The barns are full of lambs.
We started working together. We decided how we could change those turkey barns around to feed lambs in them, and it worked out real well with, like he told me a lot of times, he said there's not a lot of difference in the handling of turkeys. They have some of the same problems and diseases that the lambs do, and so it was a good fit for Donnie.
He had those empty turkey sheds. He wanted to look at what he could turn it into, and it looked like lamb was going to turn a profit for him, and so he did that. He had the food resources, he had the contracts, so he just looked at every aspect. He just is so thorough at that I just knew that it would be a success.
He served on some boards, especially with the Knox County Sheep Improvement Association. He served on the Ohio Sheep Improvement Association Board of Trustees for a short period of time, and he's just been nominated to serve on Ohio Sheep and Wool Program for a 3-year term starting in 2012. So a lot of different hats that he wears, has just been a very important part of a lot of the educational programming and leadership programming that we've done here in the sheep industry.
In recent months, the lamb industry has seen a huge growth in consumer demand, and there are many ways a producer like Don Hawk can be a part of that growth.
If we can just add some more barn space out there, it would probably be the biggest thing on Donnie's part, but it's part of it is with the fed lamb. There's just not as many fed lambs out there in the country as there has been, and part of it's the high price feed, and part of it's just the nature of the way the industry's gone, and there's still a need though for those fed lambs, and Donnie's a real good example of the type of quality and the type of workmanship you have to put in to put out that kind of product.
We see Don as an integral part of that as we talk about expansion of the industry. Keeping those ewe flocks out there, maybe taking those lambs off at a certain point, maybe in that 60, 70, 80 pound range, sending them to a feedlot like Don's where they can be fed out to go into the contract feeding program. And then he has places for them to go into the high class restaurants or the cruise ship trade, and it's just kind of that natural integration of ewe flocks, lambs going into feedlots, then supplying those lambs on up the supply chain, and that will help us expand our industry.
He's signing contracts from out west and bringing lambs from out west, but he's, for the last at least 7-8 years that I've been aware of, he's always said he's been looking for native lambs, native being from Ohio in this area, because those trucking costs from Colorado and Nebraska and even Wyoming, I think is as far west as he's gone, is a huge factor in there. And so he's always thought that if he could just find local lambs, native lambs, and so he's talked with United Producers and trying to see how they could start a program where people would start their flocks, and the lambs, they'd have certain kinds of ewes that would fit the feeding style that he needed, and he would work with him. He'd contract with them so that they would sell all those lambs directly to him, and it's met with limited success, although I would say in the last year and a half or two there's been an increase. People are finally starting to catch on what's happening.
It is my preference to have more lambs from Ohio and nearby than to have to go clear to South Dakota or Kansas or Nebraska to get lambs.
We can more easily say that they're local if they're born here. Lamb feeders can give you that 90 to 120 days in Ohio, being fed Ohio grain, contributing to the success of Ohio, but really the whole success of a lot of our expansion program is that they're raised right here in Ohio by Ohio producers. They're fed in an Ohio feedlot, and then they're moved through the system as Ohio or as local lamb.
Those who know Don Hawk know that he thinks there are 100 people other than he that deserves this Master Shepherd's Award. But his contribution to the industry is proof that this award has been well earned. He's
A good businessman. He pencils things out. He does things right. When he gets into an operation, he does it right, and he makes sure that he's done everything that he can to be successful. But he also reaches out to whoever and wherever, whether it's to bring a group of grade schoolers in or a group of shepherds from Southeast Ohio in. He opens his place. He shares his knowledge freely and willingly. He has a strong family. He and his wife are very community-minded. And so you just put all those things together and you kind of have a whole package.
He really cares about what he's doing, and he cares about being the best at what he's doing. And I think that's just one of the things that sets Don apart from everybody else is his pride, and it's not pride to be just prideful. It's just pride in putting out a good product and being a good steward of those sheep and agriculture.
You just have to appreciate all of the things that he's done in just a short period of time in the sheep industry, in the lamb industry.
He will probably think he's not deserving of it, but he will be very grateful, I think, and very humbled from it.
We're farmers, so as one little boy said to me when I went to my grandson's kindergarten class here a couple of years ago, he said, "Well, where do farmers sleep?" Well, I sleep in a house, in a bed, just the same as everybody else does. But our lifestyle's been one of commitment. We've been through the thick and the thin. I have no qualms about what I'm doing at all.
And with that, it's easy to see what type of impact Don Hawk has had on Ohio's sheep industry in the last 13 years. An impact that'll carry the industry through the next generation and beyond. That's why Don Hawk of Skyline Turkey Farm is the 2011 recipient of the Charles Boyles Master Shepherd Award.